today we're doing reference sheets because I need to get ready for art fight. But also I wanted to lore dump about my OCs a little bit, and who better to start with than my villains, I guess. I would have started with the main characters, but I didn't want to, and doing the villains seemed a little bit easier. If you hear anything in the background, sorry, my window's open. Let's start the thing. So I wanted to start with James, who's like my main villain dude. He originally was going to be like way younger and dressed a little bit more slutty, but I eventually like scrapped that idea completely, because I was having trouble with like his personality. I was having trouble with his color scheme. It was a mess. I was like in between purple and green as like his main thing, and like I always knew he was gonna be a lightning dude, but I didn't know like what kind of lightning, or like I didn't know anything about him except that his wife was dead. But then Lavender Town made a video about like how to give your OCs a little more backstory, and so I followed that template. So like you're supposed to give them a job plus 2 hobbies, their like history from like when they were a kid to when they're adult, their favorite things, their imperfections, and then I just added like other details about them. For James, I said his job, he's a professional villain. He used to be a lawyer, but yeah, his wife died, and then he's just supposed to be like a really stereotypical like my wife died and now I seek vengeance on like everything type of villain. So as a baby, he was a normal kid. As a teen, he had his high school sweetheart who was his wife, and then as an adult, his wife died unexpectedly. There's backstory for that I might go into in the like Magical Boy video, which is the next one. His favorite things are his wife and evil. He's not very developed, I don't know if you could tell, but his imperfections are he's a workaholic, constantly grieving, and he can't move on. So, and then like extra details, I said like his wife's been dead a while, and he kind of loses sight of like who he was. Also his wife is a singer, I guess. I haven't given her a design yet. I don't know what she looks like. I'm kind of like leaning towards like Gabriel Agreste's wife. I don't remember her name at the moment, but like that's kind of like who this is supposed to kind of be like. Like he's not a fashion designer or whatever Gabriel was. I haven't watched Miraculous in a long while, but yeah, he's supposed to be like, oh, my wife's dead and I'm just gonna, I don't know, he's a guy, he's working on it. He's not working on it, but so as a villain he needs some like henchmen, right? And so he hired college students, Anna, who is ditzy, who's coming up next, and he hired Ambrose, who is the last character that I'm doing today. And so he hires them, and they're kind of like goofballs. They're kind of like Jesse and Jamesing it up, I guess. I don't know. I like them. They're goofy. I like them a little bit more than James. But yeah, so that's James. And now we move on to Ditzy, who is, love her. She's like my favorite character in this whole thing. When I first drew her, I had her sketched down, like just, it was done. That was her design and I loved it. And I couldn't get that style again, ever. But so she's a college student, like most of the characters in this world. And she's like, she kind of took a gap year in between high school and college because she was like struggling with her mental health a lot. And she goes to school as like a creative writing major, I think, is what I said that she was. But so for her like Lavender Town template thing, her job is an acrobat / villain. She's not really an acrobat that often, like, no, she writes erotica for a living. But she's like a full-time student, and like she was a gymnast. She likes kickboxing and gymnastics and trash TV, and I really like her. I think she's silly. But so her history is, as a baby, she was stung by a bee, because I have a bee hero. If you don't know anything about like my magical boy characters, one of them's a bee, and I really don't want them to like each other, so I want Ditzy to be like irrationally scared of bees, because she like remembers being stung by one as a kid, and she was like came down with an allergic reaction or something, and so she like doesn't want to go anywhere near this bee themed superhero. She's like, I'm not going through that again. And then as a child, she was like a gymnast, like her mom enrolled her in stuff. And then as a teen, like she again was having trouble with her mental health, and so she like got into a mental hospital. She got better, like she got out a week later. She was an emo teen. I filled out some pick crews for like some of these characters, like before I designed them or like after I designed them, because I don't know, her faves are her puppy that she got. She lives on her own in like an apartment at like the time of the story, so she got a bulldog puppy, and what's his name, it's like Arvin or something. She likes trash TV, pop music, collectibles, true crime, and mandarin oranges. I don't know why, but I thought it was fun to give her a favorite food, and so her favorite food is mandarin oranges. Like, she's pretty normal when she's not working. She's just trying her best to get through college and graduate. Like, that's why she took up this whole gig as like a part-time villain, was because she needed money. So she's not like into all that James is like doing, she's just there to get paid. Her imperfections are like the bee sting allergy / fear. Need to work on her imperfections a little bit more so she doesn't turn into like, a Mary Sue character. She's too powerful, but like, I don't know. Yeah, but as like a backstory, or not backstory, but she does get a girlfriend named Sam. I'm looking at like my notes for when I was fleshing these characters out, and yeah, so she gets a girlfriend. She puts on a fake voice for work. She has like a little work voice that's like a little more unhinged than her normal one, that I think is funny. She knows my beetle character, Nate. She knows Nate from kickboxing class, because they both go to the same gym, and I think that's silly. It's like, it's just a little world thing, but like they'll recognize each other's moves on the battlefield, and like they won't think that they're each other, but it's like a little, hey, I know how to do this, you know how to do this, that's a little weird, like kind of thing. But yeah, so she mentors Nate at like class sometimes. Like Nate is way more involved with the villains than I think he's supposed to be. So now we move on to Ambrose. He is like the least developed. I designed him on a whim because I needed 3 villains for some reason. Like, I couldn't just deal with James and Ditzy being like a duo. I didn't like that. I wanted there to be like an odd number. So he's like the Hawks of the group. Not to compare him to another media character, but like I always envisioned him as like a Hawks type dude. He's just flirty college guy. Not like a frat boy, but like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. He's like just a playboy. And so what I put for his like little lavender town template, job, freelance villain, but he likes games. So like maybe he's a streamer or something. His history, nothing as a baby, nothing as a child, nothing as a teen, but he has a zoology major, like an animal biology major. I don't know. It's one of those two. He likes animal documentaries and true crime with Ditzy. Like, they'll just hang out in each other's apartments sometimes. Ambrose more so than Ditzy. Like, he'll just come over unannounced and be like, hey, and she'll be like, what are you doing here? We're coworkers. But he's like the surveillance guy, so he'll like watch over and like report back to James about what the bug boys are doing and like any plans that they have, because they all go to the same college conveniently enough. I thought it would be silly if they did that instead of it like originally being a high school thing, like I was originally planning, but then I was like, there's too many high school things, there should be a college thing. And so I put them in college, and I think that's silly that they all go to the same school and whatever. But he's online friends with Percy and Griffin, so they just play like Call of Duty together sometimes, and they don't know who each other is. Griffin and Percy will just be best friends, and then they'll be talking to this dude, Ambrose, and they won't know that they're fighting the next day. So it's the same thing with, like, Ditzy and Nate. Wow, I made a lot of these people gay. He has a little sister, and he walks her home sometimes when she gets out of grade school, because, like, she's like 10 years old. She doesn't have a design yet, but she's like 10. But so he was disowned by his dad because he's like conservative dude, and one of these characters has to get disowned, I guess, at one point. But so he's like not supposed to be talking to his little sister, but he wants to have a good relationship with her. And he's like in the same boat as Ditzy, where he's just in it for the money, really. He doesn't like need to be fighting these dudes all the time. He's just like, it was the easiest job he could get. I didn't write down any imperfections or like positives about this dude. He's just a guy. I think he's cool. I like his design. Narrates in bad British voice was a thing that I put down as like an extra detail. I don't know what that is supposed to mean, but I think like it might be like a Deadpool thing or something. Sorry about that like cut. I lost some of the footage for this guy. I also put in like an alternate coloring for like his civilian form, because he's not pink. He's just not pink. Like, that's not realistic. That's just like him in his villain form. And whether he puts on face paint or his skin just transforms when he gets the bat wings, that's for you to decide. But yeah, so here are all the finished reference sheets. These will all be on my art fight, which I will put in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.